Alrighty, so we have talked about the origins of Greek theater. We've talked about some of the elements of their drama. We've talked about their most influential playwrights. What I want to do now, before we move on to talking about the theater space itself, is talk about some of the elements of their performance style. Now, again, along with creating drama as its own art form, the Greeks basically invented the concept of acting. And their style of performance is vastly different from the style of performance we know today. So let's talk about some of these elements, and then I want to talk to you about a link I want you to go to see some of these elements actually in practice. So the first thing I would like to talk to you about is the chorus. Now, I have mentioned the chorus in passing a little bit while we were talking about the playwrights. We talked about several of them reduced the size of the chorus. The chorus, of course, was left over from the dithyramb performance, which, as you remember, the dithyramb being a lengthy religious hymn sung by 50 men. Well, that became integrated into their performance style, only they served a very different purpose. So the main purpose of the chorus is to provide, as we discussed way back, to provide the exposition for the audience. They would come out, and at the beginning of the show, they would basically tell the audience everything they needed to know in order to understand what was about to happen. So that was their primary function, to provide expository information, comment on the action, and at some point they would also describe action that had happened off stage. Now, this is something we will talk about in greater detail a little later on, but one of the hallmarks of Greek drama, Greek tragedy specifically, is that while the Greeks loved their tragedies very bloody, none of that violence was ever seen on stage. You would never see an actor or a character dead on stage. So what would happen is the character would go off stage, and a few minutes later, a member of the chorus would come out as a messenger or something to that effect and deliver a long speech about how they had witnessed this person dying. And usually it was very, very graphic. They had some pretty brutal deaths for some of these characters. In tragedy, the chorus often represented the common people of the city-state, ruled by the tragic hero or heroine. In comedies, old comedies specifically, the chorus was frequently fantastical. You know, for example, in The Birds and the Frogs, they appeared as birds and frogs. In The Cyclops, the only satyr play we still have in existence, they were dressed as satyrs. So one of the other really distinguishing characteristics of the Greek performance style was, of course, their use of masks. Now, the Greeks used masks in their performances for a variety of reasons. First of all, it was a quick and easy way for the actor to change characters. Now, if you remember, back when we were talking about some of the elements of Greek drama, one of their distinguishing characteristics is that there are no more than 3 characters on stage at any given time. So you have one actor playing the main character and 2 actors playing basically everybody else. So the mask provided a quick and easy way for the actor to change character. The other major use of the mask is that it allowed the audience to see the facial expressions of the characters very clearly. Now, we will discuss the theater building itself in greater detail in a little bit, but just know that it was a huge structure designed to seat as many people as possible. So the actors had to figure out how they were going to be seen by the people sitting back in what we would consider the nosebleed section. So the big masks with the large expressions carved into them helped the audience see the performers. What you'll also notice is that in accompanying with the masks and the large faces carved into them, the actors adopted a much larger style of acting with their bodies. Big hand movements, loud declarations. This is all to make sure that the drama could be seen and understood by the people sitting as far away as possible. Some of the Greek masks were actually designed to project the actor's voice as far back as they possibly could. So they would be designed almost like a little megaphone. So what we have here are just a couple of examples of Greek performance masks. Now, as you can see, the facial expressions are very detailed. The hollow cheeks, the lines in the forehead. You can also see that the hair around the head, the beards, they've been carved into the mask itself. A lot of these masks were made out of wood, some of them out of leather. Some of them had the hair carved into them, like these. Others, the actors would wear heavy wigs that were made out of either human hair or animal hair. As you can see in these examples, these are kind of more common, that the only part of the actor's face which is exposed are the eyes and the lower jaw, therefore allowing them to open their mouths fully to project. But we have seen others with, like I said, the little megaphone built in so that the voice could be heard as far back as possible. Alright, so I just wanted to take some time and talk to you about some of these performance elements that the ancient Greeks developed. What I would like you to do now is, what you're going to find is in the description of this video, you're going to find a link to a production of Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. Remember, this is the first play in his Oedipus cycle. This production was done many years ago by a Royal Theatre Company. It was a televised production, but it was done as close to the Greek style of performance as we could approximate. Meaning the costuming, the masks, the performance style, the acting style, all is done as close to the Greeks as we figure it can be. So what I would like you to do is take a little time, go check out that video. I don't expect you to watch the whole thing. You can skip around here and there, but what I want you to do is take a look at this performance, and I want you to take some note for class discussion on what are some of the performance elements you notice. What do you notice about the acting? So really pay attention to that, and we will discuss what you have found in class.